warrior, suffered from leprosy. Now the Arameans, on one of their raids, had taken a young girl captive from the land of Israel, and she served the Naaman's wife. She said to her mistress, "If only my Lord were with the prophet who is in Samaria, he would cure him of his leprosy." When the king of Israel read the letter, he tore his clothes and said, "Am I God to give death or life, that this man sends word to me to cure a man of his leprosy? Just look and see how he is trying to pick a quarrel with me." But when Elisha, the man of God, heard that the king of Israel had torn his clothes, he sent a message to the king. "Why have you torn your clothes? Let him come to me, that he may learn that there is a prophet in Israel." So Naaman came with his horses and chariots and halted at the entrance of Elisha's house. Elisha sent a messenger to him, saying, "Go, wash in the Jordan 7 times, and your flesh shall be restored, and you shall be clean." But Naaman became angry and went away, saying, "I thought that for me he would surely come out and stand and call on the name of the Lord his God, and would wave his hand over the spot and cure the leprosy. Are not Abana and Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? Could I not wash in them and be clean?" He turned and went away in a rage. But his servants approached him and said to him, "Father, if the prophet had commanded you to do something difficult, would you not have done it? How much more, when all he said to you was wash and be clean?" So he went down and immersed himself 7 times in the Jordan, according to the word of the man of God. His flesh was restored like the flesh of a young boy, and he was clean. Then he returned to the man of God, he and all his company. He came and stood before him and said, "Now I know that there is no God in all the earth except in Israel." The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
We'll read from Psalm 11. Hallelujah! I will give thanks to the Lord with my whole heart, in the assembly of the upright, in the congregation.
Great are your works, O Lord. Honor and all who delight in them.
Majesty and splendor mark your deeds, and your righteousness endures forever.
Because your wonders to be remembered, you are gracious and full of compassion.
You give food to those who fear you, remembering forever your covenant.
You have shown your people the power of your works, and given them the lands of the nations.
The works of your hands are faithfulness and justice. All of your precepts are sure.
They stand fast forever and ever, because they are done in truth and equity.
You sent redemption to your people and commanded your covenant forever. Holy and awesome is your name.
The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. All who practice this have a good understanding. God's praise endures forever.
A reading from 2 Timothy. Remember Jesus Christ, raised from the dead, a descendant of David. That is my gospel, for which I suffer hardship, even to the point of being chained like a criminal. But the word of God is not chained. Therefore I endure everything for the sake of the elect, so that they may also obtain the salvation that is in Christ Jesus with eternal joy. The saying is sure: if we have died with him, we will also live with him. If we endure, we will also reign with him. If we deny him, he will also deny us. If we are faithless, he remains faithful, for he cannot deny himself. Remind them of this, and warn them before God that they are to avoid wrangling over words, which does no good, but only ruins those who are listening. Do your best to be present yourself to God, as one approved by him, a worker who has no need to be ashamed, rightly explaining the word of truth. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God. and he entered a village. 10 lepers approached him. Keeping their distance, they called out, saying, "Jesus, Master, have mercy on us." And when he saw them, he said to them, "Go and show yourself to the priests." And as they went, they were made clean. Then one of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned back, praising God with a loud voice. He prostrated himself at Jesus' feet and thanked him. And he was a Samaritan. Then Jesus asked, "Were not 10 made clean? But the other 9, where are they? Was none of them found to return and give praise to God except this foreigner?" Then he said to him, "Get up and go on your way. Your faith has made you well." The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Christ. Please be seated. Thank you. Those words are so powerful. Thank you, a simple phrase that every parent tries to teach their children. Thank you. A simple card we used to send when we received a gift. Thank you. A simple expression from an outsider, from an outcast, who returned to tell Jesus. Thank you. Is that all there is to this story? Is the sermon over? And imagine seeing people are going, "Oh boy, that's a good one. Let's stop right there." But you know, there is much more to this story. I suppose it's a wonderful text for Thanksgiving. You know, we have these times that we remember to give thanks. But there is much, much more to this. We would lose out on much of the depth if we stopped right there. Because the setting here is so very important. Jesus is on his way to Jerusalem, and he's heading there for only one reason: his crucifixion. Jesus knows what it is at hand, but he keeps his eyes on Jerusalem and heads straight for the cross. But in order to get there, Jesus needed to go between this land of Samaria and Galilee. And that's really important, because Galilee is where Jesus spent most of his time. Galilee is that place where most of the Jews lived. But Samaria was a whole different place. It had Jewish origins, but they saw their faith in a much different way than those people who came from Galilee. They were like outcast cousins, I suppose. They were kind of related, but they had nothing to do with each other. It's not the best place to travel. Since the two sides did not get along, I imagine there were many times that there were outbreaks, that there were skirmishes, but those things never stopped Jesus. And on this day, as Jesus was going through that territory, 10 lepers recognized him. They saw him from a distance, and they cried out from that safe distance, because lepers were supposed to stay away from people. I suppose to stop the spread of disease. But they yelled loudly, "Master, have mercy on us." And he saw them, and he yelled back, "Go and show yourselves to the priests." That was important, because going to the temple and showing yourself to the priest was the way you were declared clean. No one could be declared clean unless a priest were to sign a paper that says, "Yes, your diseases have now been cleared up." And on their way to the temple, they saw what had happened. It was a miracle. Once declared clean, they could be part of society once again. They could return home. They could hug their wife and their children. They would be restored. Life would be normal again. But as they were on their way, one so overwhelmed that he returned to Jesus to say, thank you. Those simple words, thank you. Jesus looked around and said, where are the other guys? Why were they in such a hurry? And Jesus looked at his disciples and said, did only this Samaritan, this outsider, this outcast, the guy that nobody wants anything to do with, is he the only one that came back? You can almost imagine Jesus embracing the man, saying, go on your way. You have been made well. It's a wonderful story. But it raises a few questions. Questions like, how did this collection of guys end up together? It seems like quite a motley group of people. How did they end up here? Well, it's interesting how disease brings you together. It's amazing how serious illness can draw people together with the same connection. They did cry out together. They were all cleaned together. They were all cured by their willingness to follow Jesus' orders to go to the priest. Where were they? Because notice that the guy who came back received a special blessing. He was told, go on your way. Your faith has made you well. There's a subtlety in that language there. The group was made clean. This guy was made well. And that's important. So I think there's a big difference between being cured and being healed. When I use those words, cure means that the disease has been cast off. The disease has disappeared. You are free from this disease, this illness. But healing involves body, mind, and spirit. People can be on their deathbed and be healed, because healing includes being made right with God, with our families, and with each other. The guys who followed Jesus' direction and went to the priest were made clean. Their disease was cured and they were brought back into society. But the Samaritan, when he returned to Jesus, was healed. It was Jesus' words that made him well. He was healed by Christ himself. He didn't need to go to the priest. It was not the priest who declared him clean, but it was his faith, his trusting in Christ that made him well, that healed him. This man knew in his heart that Jesus was the source of new life, and he expressed his gratitude. And not only was he healed, he was made whole again. I'm not much of an expert on words. It's not one of my great things. If you give me a crossword puzzle, I'll be working on that the rest of my life. I don't know. I just don't. Words are not a big thing. But it seems like there is a difference between thank you and gratitude. Saying thanks and living a life of gratitude. And after a little checking, I've come to realize that saying thank you is an action. It's something that we do. It's an expression. But gratitude is a way of living. Yes, saying thank you is an expression of gratitude. But gratitude is a thing that makes us turn around, to come back to Jesus, to fall on our knees and give him praise, to give him our life. I often find wisdom in those folks who live in Winnie the Pooh's world, that 100-acre woods. Piglet has realized that while his heart is rather small, it can hold a rather large amount of gratitude. And I have read that people who live a life of gratitude are happier and healthier in their life. Notice that in this story, Jesus did not deny the cure of those guys who did not return. He didn't strike them down. He didn't say they were evil. But he did offer a special blessing to the outcast who returned. So this week, I invite you, like we did the children, to think of all the ways that God has made us well. Those ways in which God has healed us in body, mind, and spirit. And then to fall on our knees and give thanks.